thanks everybody for joining today. It's really encouraging, in particular in the current times, to see so many people still logging on to these e-meetings and clearly getting value from them. Bit of a weird time at the moment, isn't it? I think we're all now kind of coming to terms with what Prime Minister said at the weekend and going into a second phase of lockdown. I think from a cluster point of view and a board point of view, our hope is just that everybody is currently staying safe, keeping well, not ignoring their kind of mental health at the moment, making sure you keep in touch with your peers, other people in the business community. And I think this kind of session is really vital for that at this particular moment in time. And obviously as a board and a shadow board, I think we put a message out on LinkedIn at the weekend, essentially saying, look, if anybody has any queries, concerns, wants to just have a chat, wants to know what's going on, just bounce things around, then just pick up the phone, drop one of us an email, and we're always happy to do that and make time for it. But today we've got an action-packed kind of 90 minutes. We've got quite a lot to get through. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Gary McKeating from Sellafield to do our first presentation. So Gary, morning.
Morning, Tom. Thank you. Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's well. I'd just like to echo what's been said there as well. I thought I was tough. I'm renowned for having an unfortunate face, which is often described as miserable. But what I have missed over the last 6 months is interaction, and I never thought I'd say that. So hope everyone's staying safe. Reach out, as everyone says, because it's very important. And it's at this time as well, as we go into the sort of second lockdown, don't underestimate how tough it is for everyone. And you might be sort of bashing on and getting on with everyday life, but just take a minute, because it is a very difficult time for all of us. So what we'll do today is, thanks for inviting me, by the way. So it's been a strange old year, as we know, but what we wanted to do as Sellafield was refresh our social impact strategy. The strategy was agreed by the Sellafield board just over 3 years ago. And this was due to be launched, the refresh, probably Q1 this year, so February, March. But for obvious reasons, the pandemic sort of put a big bump in the road. So what we wanted to do was, once we came out of the first lockdown and we recognized that a lot of the issues and problems that we were trying to address would be almost on steroids, and really magnified. We wanted to really crack on with the refresh, because a lot of the things that we've got in the refresh are going to be very pertinent for months and years to come. So over 3 years, what we've tried to do is change quite a bit of the direction of our social impact work, and almost rebalance, I suppose, would be a word I would use. So what you'll see in this quick presentation, and hopefully there'll be questions, is a rebalancing of our approach and our activity. And what I'll do is I'll highlight some of the work that we're doing in the community. But the refresh, what I wanted to get was to a structure and to a place where people could recognise what Sellafield Limited social impact was about, how they could interact with it, how they could co-create with us, and how could we address the problems that we see, particularly in West Cumbria, and I'll come on to that as well. So I think if we could maybe just show the animation.
What is social impact? For us, it's about making a real difference and having a positive effect on our local communities and our local economies. It's something we've done forever, but we knew we could do it even better. So we've created a new approach with social impact multiplied, while still providing support in times of immediate and urgent need. Social impact multiplied is a significant shift that will make a difference that will be felt for generations to come. It sees us multiplying our impact through collaboration. encouraging our supply chain to align their efforts to ours, because we can achieve more in partnership than we can alone. Social Impact Multiplied sees us investing in projects that help tackle the root cause of some of the issues faced by people in our communities, co-creating long-term projects with stakeholders, partners, and the people in our local communities, and using our own investment to leverage further support from others to have the greatest possible impact. But it isn't just about financial support. It's part of who we are. It sees our people give their time and their skills to help. Together, we're helping to create sustainable projects where our outcomes and impact can be reported, measured, and independently externally verified. Projects that change people's lives, helping our local communities become more self-reliant, independent, and thrive. Helping our local economies to have the capacity, diversity, capability they need to grow and be resilient. Helping people to improve their skills and access opportunities. And improving access to sustainable incomes beyond our company and the Sellafield site. This is Social Impact Multiplied. There's more to do, we know that. And with Social Impact Multiplied, we can do it together. Are you ready to find out how?
Okay, so that animation was produced so we can use it across a lot of our particularly social media channels as well. If we look at the environment over the last several months, there's been a few things that have come together. One is the NDA new social impact strategy that was launched, I think, back in June, July. And I would recommend as well that you look for the Sellafield Company Manifesto. I think Emma Jane might be on this meeting, so reach out to Emma Jane, who's been instrumental in developing that with the leadership at Sellafield and Martin. But that talks about we care about our communities and our environment. Things like PPN 0620, which is now looking to really embed social impact in procurement. And then, of course, the global pandemic that means that localism and economic development is going to be at the forefront of the recovery over the next months and years. So when you look at our social impact strategy, there was 5 objectives and 2 enabling objectives, and now I'm not one for strategies, as people who know me will attest to. However, what we wanted to do was tidy that up, and with my OCD, we had 7 objectives, and we were calling the refresh 6. So we took a couple of the enabling objectives and changed those to 1. So if you look there in terms of resilient economies, which talks about creating new possibilities, new opportunities, inclusive growth. We'll hear a lot about inclusive growth, and I think one of the things that the cluster has talked about over the last several months is that no one left behind, and that for me is inclusive growth, and that's a big part of the strategy that we have now at Sellafield. Capacity and diversity as well. It's not just about nuclear. We've got to make sure that the economy is as wide and as all-encompassing as possible, and that's for everyone, because of course with a large economic actor like Sellafield, all eyes sometimes do lead to nuclear, and that's if you're in, that's great. If you're out, that's not so great. So what we want to do is, you will see a lot of the things that we're investing in is around diversification. And diversification's been talked about a lot over the last number of years, but we're now starting to work with our partners, our local authorities, the LEP, on actually what that means. If you look at thriving communities, and I'll talk very quickly about most recent large investment. That's around self-reliance and independence as well. You know, we didn't want, we had and always have had community groups coming to us for funding. Sometimes it was disparate. Sometimes it was desperate because of the last 10 years in terms of the cuts to the sort of third sector and so on through austerity after the banking crisis. But what we wanted to do was make sure that there was some structure to what we were doing in the community as well. And we wanted to base it on fact, which I'll come to in a moment. Sustainable incomes is around skills, knowledge and aspirations. You know, we've always done education outreach, but now we're really drilling down into educational attainment and adding value where we can to the education sector and with our partners who are responsible for education, like the county council. And again, if anyone wants to talk to me about that, we can do that offline as well. Social value chains is pretty important, I think, for us in the cluster, and that's around making sure that our supply chain as Sellafield is wherever possible aligned to our strategy and is helping us to deliver on our aims and their aims as well. So where the two come together, that's where we get that sweet spot that we often talk about. And then collective impact, so working with communities, our stakeholders, on an integrated approach to social impact. And you'll see us talk a lot about co-creation, and that's working on projects with our community, because as we know, the community knows best, you know, where the issues are and how often we can solve those. So in sort of a really poor man's Chris Whitty, could we have the next slide, please? So this is our approach, and I'd really like people who are looking to engage with us to really take this and sort of analyze it, because it is the sort of core of what we're doing. I talked earlier about root cause and based on fact. So you will have seen that a couple of years ago we commissioned an Oxford economics report that said the impact of decommissioning and mission change at Sellafield would be felt most strongly in Copeland and Allerdale. And that drives a sort of local agenda in social impact. Co-creation, which I've just mentioned, and it enables that collective impact. So we work very closely with the LEP, our local authorities, the council, the county council, and so on. Northern Powerhouse, you know, the partnership there, we've got very close relations as well. You'll have seen a lot about levelling up and whether that's being successful or not. And also leverage. So you will see that on our larger investments, what we're wanting to see there is further investment from others. Now that could be government, it could be private sector, it could be a mixture of both. So you know, wherever we invest, we're looking to see that leverage as well. Sustainability, our investments and interventions must endure. We've seen a lot of sort of sticking plaster, I think, over the last 10 years, where sort of easy, accessible, you know, quick wins have been the order of the day. But what we're looking for now is sustainability, making sure our investments are chunky, sizable, and make a real difference. And then they're measurable as well. You will see that you know, we want to measure the outcomes and the impact of our investments, and that's only right and proper. And it's something that's been sort of dabbled with in the past, but never really been as effective, I think, as it possibly could have. So if you look at that, our approach, that is the real bedrock of what we want to do, how we will judge applications for funding, how we will work with partners to really sort of embed the work that we do for the long term. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to give a quick run through of this because it's an example of that approach. Next slide. So what we wanted to do, we worked with the Cumbria Community Foundation on a challenge, really. So they produced a report for us, Challenges and Opportunities in West Cumbria. And that was great. So we then talked with CCF and said, so what, how can we address what's in that report? So I won't go through that slide, but you can see there that, you know, as well as, you know, the high incomes in some areas, we sit next to, you know, poverty, we sit next to, in some areas, poor educational attainment. And really in this, you know, in 2020, that isn't acceptable. So we said, what can we do to really get at those challenges and work on a program of work over the long term, so 3 years, to really make a difference there. Next slide, please. So we've been working with our owners, the NDA, and we're funding an initiative just over a couple of million over 3 years. And it says there to put local people in charge of their own futures, so that localism, that co-creation. And it's built on those 6 areas that you see there, because what we wanted to do was not just be a recipient of applications for funding, but really to work with partners to make a real difference rather than just be a check writer. Next slide, please. So in terms of the approach, you will see just on this slide, the objectives covered at the bottom. So what we want to make sure is that, you know, the applications or the approach that organizations come to us with are aligned to some or all of the objectives in our strategy. And what we're trying to get is to some kind of structure in social impact, so that, you know, we as Sellafield, the external stakeholders and community, know exactly what we will be looking at, what we want to see from applications, and how we will measure that as well. So you can see at the bottom there the objectives, and we have to make sure that anything we fund is aligned to some or all. Next slide. For me, one of the things that I think we've missed over the last few years is really working with you know, the youth of our community, and not just sort of old bald men like me who have a certain view of the world. So I think some of the activities in this Transforming West Cumbria programme are really exciting, and hopefully will make a real difference for years to come. Because the guys that we're working with here, 10 to 25 years, you know, they're the people who will be working over the next 20, 30 years. So we have to listen to them, what they want, how they want to approach these things. And hopefully what we'll do when we start to measure these things is we can demonstrate that we're making a real difference. Next slide, please. Now, obviously, this is very pertinent at the moment with everything that's going on with the pandemic. It's before the pandemic, there were some areas of real deprivation and poverty, particularly in West Cumbria. And we wanted to try and address root cause. Now, we can't, as Sellafield Limited or the community, overcome all of the issues in society. We're not silly enough to think that we can do that. But if we target our work, we can maybe make a real difference. So what we're doing here is working with citizens advice groups, those on the ground who are seeing what the issues are and not what we think the issues might be. Improve financial capability over the long term is going to be so important. You know, we're seeing a real structural change in society at the moment, coming into a new lockdown later tonight, furlough being extended, but only for a month. You know, what will happen at the end of that? There's a lot of unknowns. So this is more important than it's ever been. Next slide. And I think I saw Keith on the call as well. So entrepreneurial talent. What we wanted to do here was social enterprise and work with social entrepreneurs. It's you know, it's not just about your traditional sort of business engagement. It's about people who may, because of circumstances, have to think different for the future. And there's 3 levels of support in this Spark program. Next slide, please. I'm conscious of time. So health and well-being. We are constantly talking now about health and well-being. And I think that the well-being issue and the associated health issues that will come out of, what we've gone through this year will be very, very significant. And we have, I think, a duty to, the children who are doing it tough at the moment through absolutely no fault of their own. And we have a duty to try and support and help them as much as we can. Next slide, please. And then another one for me, which is very important, and that's about youth community action. This will provide grants to young people who are at the heart of their community, maybe feel a bit disenfranchised, but have real strong opinions on what the social and environmental world should look like. And I think this will impact on employment in the future as well. I think we're seeing people now looking for employment with companies that care, companies that do good. The companies, I'm always struck by Hazel Blaze, who's now advising the NDA on social impact, who talks about, doing good is good business. So I think what we need to look at is how the youth in our society can, what do they want? What do they want to see? And help them build their confidence to deliver on that, because I think they're the ones who will make the real difference in the future. Next slide. So that was a real canter through. I only had 15 minutes, so I do apologise for the speed of that. But I think if anyone wants details, there's the email. This will be put onto, I think, the cluster website as well. Contact me at any time or my team through that email. But what I want to sort of reiterate is some of the key principles there: co-creation, so working with our community, making sure that our supply chain, if they're working for Sellafield, are aligned to our strategy, because I think the private sector, can bring some real weight and put their shoulder behind some of the things that we're working on in social impact. I do see a little bit of sort of different direction at the moment in some areas where we do see some companies that, for a variety of reasons, are maybe looking for that more sort of easy to access sort of social impact activity, which is really based around CSR, corporate social responsibility. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. All I'm saying is that social impact for Sellafield is based on this approach, and I want to see a step change from Sellafield and its supply chain, and hopefully this will help to deliver it. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Gary. So I've only got one question so far. Please feel free to post questions in the chat and I will do my best. We are just close on time. But Kath Howard, you had a question, and I'll let you just unmute your mic and you can ask Gary.
Hi, Gary. Gary, the question I was asking was about, because I've seen this 6 multiplied. I really like it. I like the idea of us all pulling together, getting on board. What do you see as success over the next 5 years? What would it mean for you to see this actually making a difference?
Okay, so if I look at it from a supply chain point of view, in the first instance, I think a recognition that the collective impact is really important. I think companies will always do their own thing, and they have every right to do that, because they are a company in their own right. Sometimes there is a question around the sort of the dominance of Sellafield in social impact, and what I want to really stress is this approach is based on our supply chain. This approach is based on companies that are delivering work for Sellafield. And I think the collective impact is really, really important, because there are companies that work for Sellafield that have experience from around the world. They can bring some real, positivity and experience to social impact. And they can also align with us to make the projects or programs of work that we're looking to deliver even stronger and more effective. I think if I look at the supply chain, I'd love to see the supply chain gathered around the Sellafield site more. The social impact for me is West Cumbria, because that is through the Oxford Economics report and the challenges and opportunities report. That is where we have to focus our efforts. I would like to see a more diverse economy. We talk about diversification all of the time in West Cumbria. What we're trying to do now is align our strategies with the approach of our local authorities. So if I take Copeland, for example, they're really getting their shoulder behind diversification into tourism now, and recognizing that that is as important as any of the other sectors, and a bit of a rebalancing is needed. I think if we can, I think it's £1.7 million we're putting into educational achievement through attainment through the WELL project. And what I'd like to see there is the education attainment gap narrow. I genuinely personally find it offensive that because of background or circumstance, you have less of a chance at school. And then I think the work that we're doing with the county council can really make a difference there as well.
All right, thank you. We've had a couple more questions which have come in, and of course, as luck always plays out that way, we get lots of questions just as we start to run up against time. Diane, quick question from you. If you want to unmute your mic.
Yeah, Gary, I talk a lot about how everybody wins if we do social impact right. I just wondered if you could expand a little bit on the benefits to businesses beyond just winning tenders, because I know we're talking about that a lot, but there are much deeper benefits to businesses as well if they do this.
I think what we're seeing is, and you'll see that I majored there on sort of youth activism. We're seeing all of our businesses will need to employ people in the future. And we'll need to employ, bright, sparky people who will deliver business benefit for us. And I think if you do good in social impact, I've seen now with my kids, with my friends' kids, a real desire to work for companies that have environmental credibility, social impact credibility, care about their communities, and don't just see value as bottom line for their shareholders. So I think one of the wider benefits is to be involved in work that makes our communities better. So that's for me very important. But if we look at it almost selfishly for the future and business planning, us as businesses, when we employ people, when we go to graduate fairs or take on apprentices, or the wider employment market, people want to work for companies that are making a difference, and that's not a cliche. I talk to my kids' friends, and they say that's what made them choose. If they had a couple of offers or they were interested in companies, that's the things that they were looking at. So I think that's where business benefit lies in the future.
Okay, so we've got another question from John Granger, and just because we are running out of time, I'll ask that. But do you think there will have to be a reset on the SIX strategy, given the economic pressures throughout West Cumbria? In other words, more to develop a levelling up rather than levelling down?
I think the issues that have came about through the pandemic and will continue for, I think, many months and probably years to come, means that I don't think there'll be a reset, but I think there will be a doubling down on the activities that we're looking at. There is a mix to be had between that long-term sustainability sort of strategic look at social impact and addressing current issues. So whether that's food poverty because of the current circumstances. So I think it's a real balancing act. And, we're working very closely with the Northern Powerhouse Partnership, and they're making some quite strong comments around levelling up and levelling down. But I think for us, we concentrate on making sure that the most vulnerable in our communities don't suffer even more unnecessarily, whilst keeping an eye on that strategic long term. because, as I said earlier, it's made things more difficult, and some of the issues in our society have been amplified because of it. So 6 probably won't reset, but it will double down in some areas.
All right, and Kerry Doig asked a quick question. Are community organisations intended to be inclusive of local SMEs and businesses?
Yes, you know, stakeholders. So the co-creation is also around, you know, there is often a difficulty because when people come with good ideas, it's good ideas for their business rather than, you know, sometimes good ideas for the community. So we will always look at you know, that root cause, the co-creation, the leverage, and so on that I talked about earlier. So yes, you know, and we do say no sometimes, and you know, and that sometimes offends people and it makes them angry. But we're working against a strategy, and we have you know, panels within Sellafield who look at applications as well. So it's not just my view of the world; it's a wider view within Sellafield Limited against that strategic approach.
Okay, and we are running over a little bit now, but final question, and I think there's a little bit of a pitch in here, but there is a valid question from Quentin Boys. Does Sellafield have any thoughts on who they will independently verify success or progress of the programme? Would it be traditional research providers, and this is the pitch bit, or would you consider a social enterprise such as Community Data Co-op? I think that's the business that Quentin has set up. But, if you've got a quick answer on that.
I can't say yes or no to a pitch, but let's talk offline.
Fine. Okay, there you go, Quentin. Thank you, Gary. That wraps up nicely. So very much appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for your questions and contributions. It's obviously quite a hot topic. The slides will be published onto the BECBC website, and obviously you've got the contact details, which were on the slides and have also been posted in the chat. We're going to move on now to our next speaker, and that is Jason from the Shadow Board. So, Jason, if you want to unmute your mic and step onto the stage, as it were.
So, hi everyone. So if you don't know me, I'm Jason. I'm chair of our Shadow Board. So today's just a quick announcement from me. As you can see on the screen, we're launching a Shadow Board Awards for closing out this year. Really, the reason behind this is because we would have been having a large awards dinner ceremony this year, but obviously due to various different reasons, COVID, etc., we were unable to do that. But we thought it was important that we didn't just do nothing. So as a Shadow Board, we thought, right, let's celebrate our members' achievements and have a smaller sort of awards, which will mostly be based on social media, but it will be sort of a celebration in our December e-meeting. So nominations are open for anybody who wants to either nominate a colleague, nominate a business, nominate themselves, nominate their own business, under the 4 themes that we have for the Shadow Board. So business collaboration, better place to live and work, developing next generation, diversity, inclusion. I will say at this point, thanks very much to NIS and NNL for sponsoring 2 of the awards. If you'd like to get involved and sponsor, obviously there's business collaboration, better place to live and work. That would be very grateful. So those opportunities are open. There's been more information on each of the awards on that SurveyMonkey link, but there'll also be a news item that goes on the website shortly after this meeting. If anyone has any questions, want to find out a bit more, then you can get in touch through our Shadow Board email, which is on screen there. So it's just an opportunity to really showcase what you've been doing over this year. Obviously, it's been a really difficult year for a lot of people, and people have actually done some fantastic things. So it's important we don't miss that, and we give some recognition where it's definitely due. So that's all on that one. The other announcement that I have is, you'll remember in July, June, we went out for recruitment for a couple of new members of the Shadow Board. We've got Rihanna and Jordan. However, we had a vacancy for an external comms officer, which nobody applied for. So that sort of remained open. I'm really pleased to announce that we've now got Jack Riley as our external comms officer for the Shadow Board. Jack's role will really be working with the communications part of the cluster to sort of support our social media, push out a bit more the messaging, the stuff the Shadow Board's doing. But I'm really happy to have Jack on board. And then also as a reminder, that is the full suite of our Shadow Board, echoing the point from Tom before about this community isn't just about our business stuff, it's a support community as well. So if anyone wants to get in touch with us about anything, or just share things, or we're happy to get contacted. And that's all from me. If anyone's got any questions, I will take them now, but if not, you can just get us on that email address.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. I'm not going to take questions, I'm afraid, because we are just running over a little bit, and I want to make sure that our remaining speakers have got the best chance of using the time, and there's obviously a bit of time left over for networking. So sorry, Jason, to cut you off and move forwards, but do appreciate that that snippet there. Right, so who's up next? We've got the Copeland Community Skills Centre with Sarah McGregor of Altogether Cumbria, and we've got Jackie Cuthbert of Sunbelt Rentals. So I'm going to be putting some slides up. So if both of you want to unmute your microphones, I will make sure that your slides are here up and ready. And over to you both as and when you're ready.
Fantastic, thank you. So good morning, everybody. My name's Sarah McGregor, and I'm the manager of Altogether Cumbria. So we are a social enterprise, and we're based in Pat Castle, and we're dedicated to helping local people into training and job opportunities. And we do all of this really by working closely with the local community and also local employers as well. So today I'm going to share with you this. It really is a fantastic opportunity, and I can't press that enough. And we want and really would love to engage you with as well. So its working title is currently the Copeland Community Skills Centre, although that's not set in stone and probably will change as the project evolves as well. So today we're going to talk you through the background of the project, how it came into being, why it's needed, and then also tell you a little bit about the wide range of possibilities that could arise from this going forward as well. And also as well, just very quickly, following on from Gary's slides, hopefully you'll be able to see how well this project aligns to the Sellafield 5 social impact objectives, and also their approach as well to adding social value. So hopefully you'll be able to see that too. So as you can see from this slide, we have had a fantastic response already. So all of these organisations, some extremely big, some smaller, they've all committed to working in some way together, and it's about making a difference in our local communities. So they may not know exactly how at the moment they're going to support the project, but inevitably this will all become clear as we go through the project over the coming months. The idea is that if a lot of us put in a focused effort that works for each of us towards achieving a very clear set of outcomes, then together we can achieve a huge amount that really will leave a lasting legacy for Cumbria. So it's really important about working together. So why and how did this project came about? Well, at Altogether Cumbria, what we do is we make sure we have a clear understanding of what we're trying to achieve. So it's not about what I think or anyone within the team. It's really about understanding the data. So since we launched in 2018, we've worked really hard to understand the socioeconomic landscape, not only of the region, but also what existing projects are out there as well. And also, again, more importantly, where are those gaps? Where do we fit in and how can we support? So it's only then when we can create or add social value in a strategic way. So we do that either by filling a gap or by bringing together several stakeholders so that we can create something really special, which is what we're looking to do here. So we originally undertook the community needs assessment. We did that back in 2019. We revisited it again, obviously because of COVID. It's really important that we did so. But very high level, those key issues still remain the same. We have skills gaps. We've got various skills gaps. We rely on a large transient workforce, and it's a really costly workforce as well. We have a high rate of unemployment, and there's lots of claimants in the region, particularly 18 to 24-year-olds. We've got what we call a super aging population. We've got smaller than average population for the land mass. And then there's also lots and lots of inequality that exists across the county as well. So there's a whole array of real issues and problems that we have, and many more. Obviously, that's not everything. So as part of the work, we identified HMP Haverig in Millham as being an organisation that we really need to work with. So they were reclassified as a Cat D prison, which means that the prisons or residents, as they are known there, are able to leave the facility on a temporary licence so that they can train for work and then also learn new skills as well. And that helps them in their new lives. So if they can then achieve a job when they leave the prison, this massively helps them to settle back into society, builds their confidence, which is extremely important, and really live rewarding lives. And in doing so, that of course dramatically reduces the chances of reoffending as well. So it's really important that we give that best possible chance. And as we say, that no one really is left behind. So when we visited the prison, Joe Redman, who's the prison skills and training lead, that was back in March 2020, we actually discovered that the prison were really, really keen to build a programme so that they can engage with the local community, as well as local employers and industry as well. And it's something they're extremely passionate about because they understand that connection and that need to work in partnership. So by helping to build relationships, we believe that we can really reduce some of those barriers, certainly into employment, that their residents face on a daily basis. They really do. And it's with that point, in particular around building relationships, that I reached out to one of our partner organisations, Sunbelt Rentals, for some additional support because they've got a fantastic social impact programme as well. So I'm going to hand over to Jackie from Sunbelt, who's going to walk you through the next stages of the project.
Okay, everyone, nice to meet you all today. Sarah said my name's Jackie Cuthbert and I'm Head of Digital and Social Impact at Sunbelt Rentals. So you may be more aware of our previous name. We rebranded in July. So we were called Sunbelt, we were called A Plant before. So we're based in Whitehaven, Egremont, Penrith and Carlisle. And we work on lots and lots of projects, and we work with lots and lots of different companies across the region and across the UK. And through this work, we've actually worked on a number of skills centres already. So we've got some really good ideas about what works and what doesn't work. In our experience, successful projects like this really, really work well when they're training people up for jobs that actually exist out in the real workforce. It means there's a real win-win when this happens. Because it means that employers can gain a pipeline of people with skills and qualifications, perhaps for roles they may struggle to fill locally. And the residents obviously benefit from having training and being upskilled and then having a better chance of having a job outcome at the end of what's going on. And the really exciting thing as well is that if we work together, if we open it up to everybody in the community and find out what everyone's needs and demands are or are going to be, it means we can also look to help fill roles in new and emerging sectors as well that might be coming to the area that potentially nobody's got a good hold of so far, which might mean that the whole region can benefit as well. So moving on to our vision now. What we did was we worked with the group of organisations we managed to get around the table. So that was a mix of employers and also support and third sector as well. And what we did was we tried to work out what it was we were trying to achieve. And again, this isn't set in stone 1,000,000%, but ultimately we're looking for residents of Cumbria, Haverig, veterans. We're doing a lot of work with service veterans, service leavers, and the wider community to be able to access high quality specialist skills training. Ultimately, we want people to be able to secure high value and sustainable employment as an outcome. So together, what we did was we tried to brainstorm a list of sectors that we knew were in demand because we're actually working on these types of contracts together across the region and also wider afield. But we know that these are roles that are being recruited regularly, and we know that there's regular vacancies, and hopefully by working together, we can try and create a pipeline of candidates for those roles. So looking down the list, we've come up with highways and traffic management, plant fitters, engineers and rental, construction and infrastructure, drivers and HGV drivers, renewable energy, nuclear, utilities, digital and rail. So that's just kind of like what's been floated to the surface by everybody in the group so far, but this list is by no means complete. So have a think, what skills would your business need in the future? What does it need now? And hopefully, if we put everything into the mix, we'll be able to create something really special. And again, hopefully it will pique the interest of local residents and the prison residents as well. And we'll be able to create a bit of a matchmaking situation that really works. Okay, so what's really, really exciting is that the management team at Haverig have very kindly donated 5 acres of land for us to get this project off the ground. So it's known locally as Doomstown, and you can see it up there at the very top of the map. The very exciting thing is that you'll be able to see North Lane, which is just at the top. And this means that the site's accessible for the general public as well. So local residents of West Cumbria and from across Cumbria, in fact, can also come and train at the centre, as well as the residents of the prison being able to access the site easily as well. So this is a real key point that everyone in the community can benefit, and this is a key way that the prison want to be able to do their outreach work and work with the community and community groups. So as we've started these conversations, they've been really exciting and things have snowballed, and actually the prison team have managed to work out that potentially we can have this 72-acre site as well. And by working together, it's completely uninhabited at the minute, it's covered in brambles, but there's fantastic opportunities being discussed that could go on this site. And ultimately, the only restricting factor is that we really want to be able to make sure anything that goes on there has got a training or potentially job outcomes attached to it in some way. So the world really is our oyster. We're being encouraged to think big and come up with some really exciting ideas for the land use. And again, the idea being that we want to create jobs now and leave the lasting legacy for the future term.
Okay, so what we've had to do then, obviously, because as you can imagine, there's potential here for a whole number of ideas. You know, we can literally explore anything. So what we need to do then is actually approach it in a methodical way. So our challenge has been to find out ways that work for us all. And we've done this by putting together a structure that we're going to work towards here. So we've decided to follow a collective impact approach. And we've done this by creating a collective impact consortium, which again is why we're reaching out to you guys today. Fortunately, I've had some experience with this in the past, and basically it works by getting together with a range of stakeholders to look at solving a complex problem by agreeing a common agenda for change. So if we get organised together, we can really achieve an outcome that works across the community for everybody and really actually deliver on some fantastic successful outcomes. So there is a process to follow here. There's 5 core elements that we need to bear in mind when we're doing this. So first of all, we'd look at, identifying that need and common agenda for change. Then it's about looking at shared measurements, mutually reinforcing activities, continuous communication, and then identifying a backbone support organisation to actually wrap around this and look after it. So all of this work is still yet to be done. We're not there. And again, we need to do this in partnership. That's the key point to making this successful. So the key point here is that everyone gets an equal chance to feed in and to benefit. So no matter how big or small your organisation is, we all collectively together have those relevant skills and everyone can play that part. So if that's what you want to do, we can work together and actually figure this problem out together. So next slide. Okay, so you might be thinking, all right, well, this all sounds very interesting, but what is the commitment? Because potentially the commitment could be anything. But at this stage, it's good news because the commitment is very little. We're not actually asking for anything major. That's all yet to be explored and all worked out. So what you need is just to be open to exploring the opportunity fully and how it might work for you and your organisation. It really is just about coming to the table, being a part of this and working together. In the future, of course, then you're going to figure out, how this opportunity works for you. So it might be donation financially, it might be in kind, or it could be with your time and expertise and your contacts that you've got. It literally could be anything. You might be able to physically deliver training or help us to access funding, or with maybe some project management support, whatever it be, everything adds value. Equally, you might just want to be an advocate for the project, and that's fantastic as well, because you can help spread the word about all of these opportunities that are being created and really help to bring the right people to the table. The most important thing is, though, that you're open-minded, you're passionate, which we really are. I mean, everybody that's a part of this can really see that vision. And ultimately, we need you to be willing to share those job opportunities within your organisation so that they're accessible to everybody. We're not talking about quotas. We're not saying anyone has to do anything other than work with the right people. But to make those job opportunities accessible to all is really what's at the heart of what we're doing here. So next slide. So next steps are really simple, nice and straightforward. Hopefully you'll be able to see in the chat box a link to the survey. If it's not there yet, it will be shortly. And that's for everyone who wants to find out more about this, so that you can get in touch with us and you can also register your interest as well. And remember that commitment is committing to figuring this out. It's not anything set in stone, but we do ask that you do commit to that. We're looking for members of our steering committee as well, so that's really important, and we need to get that kick-started real soon. And also some working groups. We've identified a couple of those already that are really crucial to helping us scope out our key objectives and what's next, and also how the project will fit into the current landscape as well. But there's also a whole bunch of unknowns in there that we need to figure out. So we want to welcome people to join the working groups for areas that you want to develop further, that you're interested and you're passionate about. We've identified 4 areas already, as you can see from the bottom there, the kind of sorts of ideas that we need to be working towards. But ultimately, this is all still yet to be figured out. So, you know, do get in touch, let us know what you'd like to see, and be a part of this.
Okay, so as Sarah said, we set up the Survey Monkey, the link's in the chat, and I think Hazel's going to ping it around afterwards for us, which is really kind, thank you. If everybody could complete that by the 13th of November, that means that we'll be able to kickstart the first 2 working groups sooner rather than later. And as Sarah said, that will give us the background information to get some real rock solid foundations in for the project. We've also set up a LinkedIn group. So it's currently called Copeland Community Skills Centre. So if you just go on LinkedIn and do a quick search for it, you can join in there. And we're also holding, and we have been holding, monthly update calls. So you're all invited to those. You can dip in and out of those as you wish. So just by filling in the survey means we'll pop you on that attendee list. And also we've held 2 site visits so far. They've been really exciting. You have to bring your wellies, you have to bring a waterproof coat. But it's a great opportunity to get on site, see the scope there. There's workshops and classrooms and things available at the prison already. And again, there's lots of outside space that we've got the real art of the possible on there. So they have been postponed just at the moment just because of COVID, but as soon as those restrictions lift, we will be arranging those again. So we wanted to say thank you very much for listening to us today. Our contact details are on screen, and we'd love for you to all get involved. And if you've got any questions or queries at all, then obviously give us a shout, maybe after this. Thank you.
And just one last leading point on that is that just to remember that no one organisation here is bigger than any other. This is about having a collective voice and working together. So everyone, no matter how big or small you may feel that part is that you can play, we really encourage you to kind of come to the table, be a part of this and figuring it out together. Thank you.
All right, that's great. Thank you, both of you. I'm sorry that we are not going to take questions. We have run out of time, but as I have posted in the chat, please do let people know, let the speakers know if there are any questions, then we can make sure that the questions get through and an answer gets back to you as well. But certainly there has been a lot of activity in the chat through the whole session, lots of interest in the social value side of things. So it's great to see another great presentation along the same lines. And like I say, if you've got any questions, then please do let us know in the chat and we'll make sure those questions get passed on. We're going to move on to our 3x3s. Diane, I will prime you, so hopefully you'll have your stopwatch at the ready. And we'll be starting with, I thought it might be, and we'll be starting with James from Liberty Workwear. And James, if you want to get your slides ready and share your screen, then you are good to go and open your mic.
Now, you're not going to do me on my countdown, Andrew, are you?
I wouldn't deprive you of that opportunity at all, Diane.
I was trying to get a few more extra seconds in.
No. I'm sure you've been forewarned about this, James. Are you ready?
I'm ready whenever you are. 3, 2, 1,
go.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for Hazel for getting me a chance to speak so quickly. I just wanted to give anyone who hasn't heard of us a bit of an idea about who we are and what we do. So we're called Liberty. My name's James. Liberty are a business-to-business provider. We offer a tailored solution to business-to-business requirements of workwear, corporate wear, uniform, PPE, including face coverings, safety footwear, high-vis clothing, branded and corporate promotional merchandise. So what makes us any different to other local or national suppliers? Well, arguably, we're one of Cumbria's largest independent suppliers. We are purely business to business, so we don't operate as a retailer. And that gives us the opportunity to focus on our core value, which is the developing relationship with our clients. We pride ourselves on developing our knowledge of a vast and complicated market, which can be really confusing, especially when it gets to the likes of EN safety standards. Feedback from our customers suggests that they use us because they're confident in the products that we offer are tried and tested by not only our own customer base, but also offer good value and are the right product for the job in hand. In 2015, we moved to our new premises in Kingstown Industrial Estate in Carlisle. This gave us the space that we needed to grow, gave us the opportunity to hold more stock and offer a better turnaround time and a more valued service to our customers. Like any independent company, we molded our business around our customers' requirements. We worked with the UTC in Workington since they opened. We developed an online ordering system, which allowed us to allowed parents and students to log on and order their specific uniform and pay via PayPal. It was a simple process, and it reduced the workload of the UTC. That basically meant a huge volume of work had been taken away from them. Orders are individually packed. They arrive with the student's name, and from a workload perspective, virtually nothing from the UTC's perspective. We also provided free of charge annual sizing days, where we turned up a couple of months before term started with some garments that the students could try on and ensure that all the sizing was correct for the ordering on the online system. We managed to develop this further and win larger national contracts with the likes of Centre Parks. We act as a national stockholder a central stockholder for all 6 sites, which means that we can easily control their stock, provide better forecasting abilities, and provide better value and delivery lead times. This also meant that we could provide tailored reporting for each site. As a company as large as Centre Parks that has over 7,500 staff, being able to pinpoint one specific individual from one site and see how much workwear they'd had over a certain amount of time was
and your time is up, James, I'm afraid.
That's my details. Get in touch if anyone wants to.
Well done. Now then, I gather that we've got Philip Craddock from Unpuzzling Science. So Philip, do you want to get yourself ready? That was well done there, James, considering you've never seen a 3x3 before either. And I'm sure you can put questions in the chat if anybody's got any questions for James. I'm sure he can answer them in there. So Philip, how are you doing? You've got your slides there. You just need to go into slideshow.
Yeah, my heart's racing. Here we go.
Did I make it too scary?
No, you're fine.
Ready?
Right. Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for being here for our 3x3 presentation. My name's Phil, and I'm the Charities Manager for Unpuzzling Science Limited. I'm here today to talk a little bit about our company and what we are doing to promote STEM amongst young people. So, who are we? Well, we are a team of nuclear graduates, and as part of this, we are tasked with something called the SME Challenge. Simply put, this is a chance for us to start and run our own business with the aim of donating all the profits to support a charity that we all believe in. We have picked STEMettes. Now, this is the charity which operates within the UK, and it's focused on inspiring the next generation of women and also non-binary people into the STEM field. And as a team, this is something that we strongly believe in. To help with this, we wanted to produce something that was fun and engaging to children, but also celebrated all the achievements of iconic women in the STEM field throughout history. So what we came up with was a jigsaw. So this is our file design. As you can see, there's quite a lot going on. There's a lot of vibrant colours. There's quite a unique design style to it. And what we've done is try to link all the people we've included with the professions that they carried out throughout their careers. So as you can see, Mary Curie in the centre middle right is kind of playing around with some potions and some kind of chemicals, where you've got Mae Jameson in the background with peering through a window with her rocket ship in the background looming behind her. And we've also selected a tray jigsaw as our jigsaw type. And this allows us to print on the reverse side, where we'll have profiles of all of the women detailing all their different achievements and all the kind of good things about their career and why they could inspire people. If you are a business who would like to get involved in maybe sponsoring a jigsaw or getting involved with us, we have kind of a free tier approach, I suppose you'd say. The first would be just to use it personally, etc. We have package 1. Oh, my internet's bad. Okay, package 1, which is where we would you'd order jigsaws through us. and then we would then distribute them through your local areas or STEM hubs of your choosing. And we would also be able to provide lesson plans and resource lists upon request. Package 2 is where jigsaws would be donated again to STEM hubs of your choosing, but we ourselves would run curated workshop sessions and then also post with social media engagement to show your involvement with us and also your work you are doing. This is our website. Please feel free to visit it. You can find out more about our mission, how to get involved, the types of workshops we're looking to do, and also the Jigsaw, as we call it, will be coming up live hopefully towards the beginning of December. So please feel free to give that a look. Thank you for listening to our presentation. There's a list here of all our different social medias. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at info@puzzingscience.co.uk. And there's also a link to our Nuclear Graduates page. Thank you very much for listening. That's all I've got.
Philip, that was virtually spot on. Well done. And you got all the relevant information in there as well. Yep. So no pressure at all on our third 3x3 now then. Old friend of mine there. Come on, Keith, are you ready? Get your screen up, there we go. Ready for your countdown? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi guys, thanks for the opportunity. I'm Keith, Group MD of the Entrepreneurs Group. We have 3 strands to our business, but today I'm just going to talk you through 2. Pretty much because I haven't got time to take you through the 3. But if you need to, just by all means click on the website and have a look. The Entrepreneurs Group, we create high-performing teams. So the typical organisational challenges that we come across with most big businesses is siloed thinking, ineffective leadership, slow decision-making, lack of an innovative approach and a commercial outlook. And that's fairly typical of many of the businesses we work with. So what we do at TEG, we help your team to think and operate like a business owner, like an entrepreneur, if you like. We call it developing your entrepreneurial talent. We help find the people that are going to push your business forward to think like entrepreneurs, but like the safety of the big business. So how do we do this? Generally, we do it face to face. We find that that's probably the best way of doing it, but obviously we're facing challenges at the moment. So we have resorted to virtual classrooms in our accelerator program. The virtual classrooms are proven to be really popular, as is the accelerator program. One thing I can say is that this is designed around your organisation and team's requirements. This isn't a one-size-fits-all program, so we don't try and squeeze your guys into our program. It's flexible enough to actually help them. So TEG Virtual, which is a CIC, a community interest company, we help people start businesses. That's really our raison d'etre for this. We want to inspire the next generation of business owners, leaders and entrepreneurs. One of the things that we find is a lot of the times the ideas aren't validated. We help them validate their idea and then grow the business. That's one of the big things for us. Our programs are all funded and sponsored, and we fund and sponsor them for young entrepreneurs, the unemployed, ex-services, ex-offenders, and people that are affected by COVID. This has been one of the big things for us, because as Gary said during his presentation, a lot of the times these groups of people do really get left behind, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So if you want to fund or you want to sponsor one of our programs, by all means get in touch. These are the people that we're currently working with, and what I will say is if your logo isn't on there, it should be, because one of the great things that we want to do is just push this forward for Cumbria and for West Cumbria. Get in touch with us. There's obviously there's far too much to mention in 3 minutes, but by all means get in touch with us. The details are on there and the slides will be available.
That's your time up, Keith.
Sorry. Thanks, Diane.
The egg timer finally worked. It didn't work on anybody else. Sorry, Keith.
No, that's fine. No problems.
Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Diane. All right, so we're going to move straight on to Deborah Naylor, who is going to be giving us an update on the BSCP, the Schools Collaboration Project. So over to you, Deborah, if you are ready.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Good morning, everybody. I'm sure that we all appreciate that
there's some soup, there's salad.
that these are very challenging times for schools. But in spite of everything that's happening, the interest in having employers talk to their students about the world of work has certainly not diminished. So for the first half term, it's been really busy for us. And just to illustrate what events and activities have taken place, two firms, Bell Group and TSP Engineering, have supported live chat sessions with students from West Cumbria Learning Centre, and these were extremely well received by staff and students. Bell Group and TSP have also offered the West Cumbria Learning Centre students an opportunity to have a tour of the premises in the spring term. So let's hope everything's back to normal by then. So really positive connections have been made there. We've also offered all schools in West Cumbria a chance to receive a short series of videos to illustrate the routes that are available to Year 11 students once they leave school. Almost every school has taken up this offer, and they're showing these videos in form time. And the idea of the videos is to help young people to think seriously about their future and to inform their decision making. So the series includes how to research different careers, how taking part in extracurricular activities, both in and out of school, can help to develop those essential skills that employers are looking for, the importance of having a plan B, and also they feature alumni talking to students who attend the schools that they've been to about the decisions they've made and what their experience of the world of work is like. As we're all aware, the intention is, for the time being at least, for schools, colleges and universities to remain open during the next lockdown. And this is a plea from us for you to keep giving your support. These are really challenging times for everyone, and especially for young people who feel that they're facing a very uncertain future. So how can you help? And I'm taking some advice from Diane Richardson here, who always tells me, Deborah, be very specific about your ask. So next slide, please, Andrew. So what can you do to help us and to help young people? Well, mock interviews are really popular with schools. They give students the opportunities to have a trial interview with an employer and receive some constructive feedback. For many young people, this may be the first interview they've ever had, and they find it daunting. But it does mean that they're much better prepared when it comes to being interviewed for real. Now, due to obvious restrictions, interviews are virtual. So if you have an hour to spare, please do give this some consideration. Just an hour of your time can make a huge difference to a young person, and you can offer your support now from the comfort of your own home. So that's our first ask. And as you can see there, we've got some mock interview sessions taking place. Our second ask is if you have any young people in your organisation who would be prepared to create a 3-minute video about the route that they took at 16 and why, again, get in touch. It's really important that young people can be inspired by young people from their own communities. These short interviews can be really motivational and generate a feeling amongst young people, well, if they can do it, and she lives around the corner from me or attended the same school, so can I. We're also starting a series for Year 9 students about helping them to make the best option choices. So we're looking for people who can help us to illustrate how English, maths, geography are used in everyday jobs. And this series will help students to understand the relevance of studying these subjects in school and why it's so important to stick in and do the best you can. Some of you may already have video content that could be used in schools. So if you've got stuff already, we can help get that into schools and share it and promote you. So please do get in touch if you have any existing video content that you feel would be relevant. In this contract, we are doing everything we can with your support to help young people feel positive and hopeful about their futures. And I was really, pleased to hear what Gary McKeating said about Sellafield's focus on young people. Some of us at this meeting today will have sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, grandchildren who are in local secondary schools working towards their GCSEs and younger and living through these unprecedented times. We know that young people are adversely affected by downturns in the economy. We also know that employer engagement work can and does make a real difference. So please do consider helping us to support young people. Get in touch with me or Vicky Ritson today. We would love to hear from you, and thank you for listening. Thanks, Andrew.
All right, thank you, Deborah. Just very quickly, popped the details up on screen there for contact. Vicky Ritson, vicky.ritson@inspira.org.uk, and phone number there. But obviously, slides will go on to the website as well, so you'll be able to find those there after the event.
Thanks, Andrew. I don't really have a lot to say. I think it's been a great session, and I think the themes, look, they fit exactly what we need to be talking about at the moment. And just hearing what Gary said about his own experiences, I'd echo that. Look, running a business, trying to be positive and make sure that all your staff are see you as optimistic. We'll get through this. It's absolutely necessary, but fundamentally it does start to take its toll. So I've just had a couple of weeks off, and I think everybody should find the time to get some downtime if you haven't already, especially if you've been working throughout this. So that's it from me. Thanks everybody for the contributions, and hopefully it's been useful.